Derek Rogers here with another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. Today we're going over something called Ascending the God Throne. It's what my coalition calls a perfect score, which will hopefully help you out. First thing I do before deck building is head to the forums and look at the bug status list. Avoiding bugs and cards that might cause your game to soft lock is the most important part to getting a perfect score. So what's going to be getting fixed in the upcoming build? I'm just going to run through this real quick. Most of these aren't super important because we're in a block restricted event this weekend, so most of these are standard or legacy cards. Dream Eater not returning when played by the AI. That won't affect your game in any way. Sphinx of the Foresight not drawing cards. It won't cause a soft lock, but if you're trying to use it, you probably won't draw any cards off of it, so not super important. Today's Undoing casting issue. This card is currently really bugged right now. I tried playing with it the other day. It auto casts. You can literally click the Not Now button, and it will still take your hand away and give you a new set of cards. So I don't recommend playing with Days Undoing this weekend. Drowned Secrets issue. It doesn't trigger if you are to reinforce it. If you have a Drowned Secrets down and then you cast another one, it will not mill itself. Not really super important. It won't affect your game in any way other than you may not have enough cards in your graveyard that you might need. Alright, that's it for that's getting fixed. Now we're going to look at the can't reproduce bugs. Soft locking when replacing a creature, they can't reproduce this. I think this is triggered off of another one further on down the list, so we'll get into that when we get down there. LPS can be disabled by the AI. That's absolutely true. That happens if Greg is looping, and then he takes the LPS kicks in, and then he takes a 5-gem match. It'll just go infinite. And it's the same way with you too. If you do the same thing, you take a 5 match. After that, it'll go infinite. Jason Reveler Seeker's third ability can't be reproduced. I didn't find any issues with it. Let's see what else we got down here. Hard lock with Hangerback Walker. This is probably the worst bug in the game right now. I believe that we have found it. It's not necessarily with Hangerback Walker, but it's with tokens which are produced by Hangerback Walker. And the bug is with tokens that have an evergreen ability attached to them. Mantle of Webs, which gives Reach, Shadow Spear that gives lifelink, any type of evergreen that you put on that the creature isn't supposed to have, and then it gets removed. I think it's only by being bounced or exiled. I think if it's destroyed, you're safe, but it's something that you really need to pay attention to if you're playing with tokens or if you're facing tokens, on how you're removing them and what's attached to them. I think the rest of these top mode rub out hard soft lock on killing opponent's creatures. That's probably also tied to the same bug. Giving mana to AI bug is back at Ravnica at War event. That says that they can't reproduce this. I believe that this is caused by the perma support in play, which is resilient. And if you were to cast a card that lets the opponent draw, and then you have like an avaricious dragon down, then you play, let's say, like a Day's Undoing, which I will not be playing. It's one of my favorite cards in the Ravnica sets, but I'm not playing with it this time because of both bugs. But if you allow him to draw, then the avaricious dragon will also trigger on there because of the resilient support. Nisa 4 able to get extra swaps through other means. I don't think we'll have any issues with this because that's tied with the card Omen of the Hunt, which is not allowed in this event, so shouldn't be anything to worry about there. And that looks like that's it for the bugs list. This weekend's event will be Raw Promise. It's a block restricted event that only allows cards from Origins, Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, War of the Spark, Core Set 2020, and Core Set 2021. There will be a permanent support in play, which is whenever you match the support's gem or deal 5 or more damage to your opponent's planeswalker, reinforce the support. At the end of your turn, if this support has 8 or more reinforcements, fetch the first 2 spells from your library and give them full mana. Then destroy X gems, where X is the number of this support's reinforcements, and this support loses all of its reinforcements. Alright, so top node, which is going to be red, it's going to be, the objectives are going to be win the fight against your opponent. And then we have Warlock, deal 20 or more damage with spells during a fight. And then we have Tribal, cast 5 or more creatures with any of these subtypes: Goblin, Elemental, Warrior, Shaman. So what I have done, it's going to be Chandra, Roaring Flame. It's a completely Pauper build. This is what you're looking at. The deck is actually designed around a specific card, which is Deafening Clarion, which is deal 3 damage to each creature. Creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn. So what I did is I just picked the most amount of creatures that had their toughness was higher than their power. So you could cast this card, and if you have 3 creatures in play, you're going to deal 9 damage to each creature that you control. So they won't die, other than the Volcanic Rambler, but he's just such a great Origins card that he's like an auto-include in any Pauper build. So there's that deck. And then I have, if you have a little bit better collection, you could run this, I think it's, yeah, this deck right here. This card is great for completing objectives, and so is Sarkhan for his 3rd ability. He will get you 3 Cavalier of Thorns. So you only have to worry about 2 other creatures. Remember, you don't want to play all of them unless you have your objectives met. Like if you already have 2 other creatures out and then you hit his 3rd ability, you're safe. But you don't want to play too many of these at one time, or you'll miss the objective. And then the other creature we have is Goblin Ringleader. When this creature enters the battlefield, fetch the first 2 goblins from your library. So this will only fetch itself. And the basic theory is to play him, grab 2 more of them, and then play the other one, get rid of all the other goblins, because he's only there for the objectives. You only need to play him twice. Everything else you can get rid of, and then work to your 3rd ability to get the Cavalier of Thorns. And then we have Justice Strike for dealing damage and getting rid of threats. Same thing with Electro Dominance. And then we got Death Sprout to get rid of threats and grab some lands. Court of Calling to help with the casting objective. And the last deck, which is what I will be using, will be Ral, which is your standard 1000-Year Storm build. It's always worked for me. I have a video on it that teaches you how to play it if you don't know how. Normally I run Days Undoing over the finale of Revelation, but like I said, it's currently bugged, so this is what we're going with. We'll just, basically is what we're going to do is use Stitch in Time, copy that a bunch of times. We're going to find 4 goblins, or 5 goblins, and then kill with Beacon Bolt. Left node, white and blue. Win the fight against your opponent. Cast 2 or more Vanguard supports during a fight. And then we have Grimoire, cast 3 or more spells during a single turn. Alright, so I have put together a Pauper Jace build. Which is a bunch of gates and draw power. If you have a better blue walker, please use it. Jace 2 would be really good, but he doesn't hold as many supports as Jace 1 does. But I'm just going to go over the basics of this deck is to draw a bunch of cards and use Sphinx's Tutelage to keep their mana cost super high so they can't play anything. And also using Jace to drain mana. So you're draining mana and raising their cost at the same time. It's going to be a very, very slow fight like this. And then I just have one creature in here, and then we have 1 Vanguard, which is, you can pick this up in the training. Whenever a creature with power 5 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. If you control a creature with power 8 or greater, draw 2 cards. So you just got to find this card twice and play it, which you should be able to. It's got a lot of draw power in it. Like I said, it's going to be very slow. There's only 3 spells in it because it's such a support-heavy deck. But Discovery will help drawing, and it's also non-targeting removal, which will help get rid of cards, or get rid of threats from your opponents as well. And then is what I will be using is Tameo, Nullhide Ferox, which I actually have to change a card because Whirlwind of Thought is not legal. So we're going to go back and put in the other card that we use, which is Gather the Pack. This is a very, very strong deck. I also have a video on this. I believe it's the same exact deck, card for card. This is what I will be using. So the last node we have green and black. Win the fight against your opponent. Summon 5 or more creatures with any of these subtypes: elf, fungus, insect, zombie. And then we have Miser. Win with only cards that cost 12 or less mana. This is probably the harder of the 3 nodes to accomplish. Have a Pauper build with Nissa 1, the Origins Nissa. Feel free to use anything better than what this is. But Sylvan Messenger and Incubation are there to help fetch for creatures. If you have this guy, he is absolutely great because when you adapt his gems, he creates a copy, so you can just keep copying him over and over and over again. Orcrin Assassin is kind of, if you get up against something that's a big threat, you can attack into it and get rid of it. Undercity Uprising is kind of the same thing. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn, and target creature you control gains Berserker. Also keep in mind, because we do have tokens in here, which is this. I don't know, maybe I'd take it out and swap it out for something else. But giving them Berserkers that may cause a soft lock. So maybe that's not the smartest play in this build. But this was kind of to put this on a creature and then get rid of a threat using the Berserker. And status is on target removal. You can you can flip it over. I don't ever really use the status side. I just use the statue, destroy an opposing artifact support. If you can't destroy an opposing enchantment support, if you can't destroy the opponent's first creature. If you got a little bit better collection, I'd probably recommend Bolas 1. Something like this. I have Captive Audience in here is what I would... Dreadhorde Invasion is probably such a better card. But it gives lifelink only on your turn, so you're probably safe using it. It was a chance that I'm not willing to take in causing a soft lock. But this is also going to be a very, very slow win. We have Mass Manipulation. If you're playing against tokens, you can steal them and you can take them. And then we have Fleshbag Marauder, who will help with non-targeted removal. And then we have Assassin's Trophy, which is more control. Destroy target creature your opponent controls if you can't destroy an opponent's support. Plus we have Demolish on top of that. Plus we have Death Sprout with the 2 gates for the mana ramp. Is what I'm going to be running is a Kiora build. Which is this one right here, which is a Nullhide Ferox deck, using Walking Archive to draw cards. Then we got Connive to help dig for the 2 creatures. And then we have Alhamerit's Archive, which usually I have Days Undoing in here, but I've tested it a lot with this card, and I actually think I enjoy it really more. It's whenever you draw a card, you would draw 2 cards instead. And we're going to run this alongside the Sphinx's Tutelage, which is whenever you draw a card, the first card in your opponent's hand costs 2 more. So if you have the Archive down, along with the Walking Archive, you're drawing, at minimum, you're drawing 4 cards a turn, which is raising your opponent's card 8 mana per turn, on top of whatever else you draw. Assure flipped over will give you 3 elf tokens, so you just need to play Assemble twice to hit your objective there. And I hope that this helps some of you go perfect. Thanks for watching.